Dog collar pulled by an invisible spirit. The security camera only turns on when it detects some movement. On this particular day, the owner of the camera was working when he suddenly got a notification. Turns out the camera felt some sort of movement inside his living room. But when he checked the live footage, there was no one to be seen. The room was completely empty and silent. Just a few moments later, you see his dog walking into the frame. At first, it seems completely normal, the dog jumping and playing by himself. Suddenly, the dog sensed something strange. He froze at his place, and suddenly something pulled the collar around his neck. The collar didn't slip off on its own. The reflection of the dog on the TV screen clearly showed as if someone had pulled his collar intentionally. After that day, the owner shared that his dog kept getting sick and acted strangely in certain corners of the house. This made the owner believe that his house was haunted, and there was a strange entity living with them. So what do you think happened? Clothing store. Creature. Next, a security guard named Dawn was watching footage of a clothing store, suspicious of a man near the racks. So he pulled out his phone and began recording the screen, just in case something happened. But what he captured had nothing to do with theft. It was something far more disturbing. The footage showed something appearing and disappearing just across the floor. It felt dark and eerie, almost like a creature out of a horror movie. It didn't walk away or do anything. It simply appeared and then vanished. When Dawn replays the footage, you can see it clearly. Something forms beside the man's leg, and it seems like it's smiling. People who saw the footage called it a tiny face staring outward. Others think it could be a shopping bag, but how could a shopping bag appear and disappear on its own? Even the guard was shocked. He kept replaying the moment, asking himself the same question. What is that? To this day, nobody has the slightest idea what it could be. What's your explanation for what appeared beside this man's foot? Mannequin head moves. The next footage might look normal, something like an ordinary family going on about their day. They're watching TV, but there's something off. Near their couch, a styling mannequin head was placed, used for practicing hair. It had been sitting there for days without anyone touching it. While the family was distracted by the TV, something strange happened. The mannequin's head turns around. At first it felt subtle, and you could feel as if it slipped on its own, but seconds later it moved again, to another direction. This time, clearly, you could see the head shifting as if it were looking toward the family. The daughter sitting on the couch saw it. She immediately jumped off the couch and ran straight to her mother. The mother looked back at the mannequin, and it was facing the family. It was still, as if nothing happened. The father looked behind the couch to see if anything let it move, but there was nothing. The room was completely normal. When they reviewed the security footage, they saw it clearly. The head moved on its own. The mannequin didn't have any motor either. You thought you saw everything? Subscribe, because now you're really about to be creeped out. Boy pulled by leg. In this footage, a small young boy was sitting with his grandma inside her room. Everything looked calm, nothing out of the ordinary. The camera was recording as usual. Then suddenly, something extremely terrifying happened. The boy's leg was pulled. The worst part? You can't see who pulled his leg. He wasn't tripping or nudged at all. Pulled hard, as if someone intentionally grabbed his leg and slid across the floor slightly from the force. There was no one behind him. He immediately stood up, ran out of the room in panic. From one corner of the room, his grandmother looked shocked and confused because she had seen it too. The family later said strange things had been happening inside the house for weeks, and it could be haunted as well. This was a different case that looked something straight out of a scary movie. When the viewers watched the clip, they said it looked like the boy had been pulled by an invisible entity. The footage became viral and reached 14 million views in a short time. So what do you believe was inside that room with the boy? Rick's poltergeist case. Now this one's off to a strange start. Rick had been experiencing strange activity for 2 years. It didn't matter where he lived. The events followed him. One night, his security camera caught floating orbs drifting through space. Some said it was dust, but a few moments later, the door slowly opened on its own, and they could also hear the knock. Then out of nowhere, a dark figure appeared in the living room. The shape was faint but visible. It moved just like a shadow with depth. Later, Rick heard loud noises and assumed his cat was making the noise. He grabbed his phone to record. When he called for the cat, a black shape appeared behind the door. It didn't have any legs and seemed to float. Then the door shut violently. Weeks later, the same phenomenon happened again. A tall shadow moved down the hallway, and the door closed by itself once more. The shocker here is that Rick lives completely alone. He's got no roommates. A few mediums told him that something attached to him is cursed. It's not about the house he lives in, just him. What it is hasn't left Rick. Face appears behind child in car. A woman shared footage from the back seat of her car showing her baby sleeping. She was washing her car with the child sitting inside the back seat. The camera was recording, and at first everything seemed all right. Then something appeared out of nowhere. You could see a pale face slowly reflected in the car's screen. It looked hollow, and its expression was blank. You couldn't clearly tell who it was. It looked like some creepy entity sitting behind the child. The mother didn't notice at first, but when she reviewed the footage, she completely froze and searched the car. She looked under the seats and even checked outside, but there was no one to be found. The face hardly appeared for a few seconds and then disappeared again. Some viewers of the footage claimed that it could be a trick or a light reflection from outside, but others argued the shape looks too detailed to be random. It had eyes, a nose, and a mouth, and it was positioned right behind the child. So if no one else was in the car with them, who was sitting there? Yemen shop woman with hooves. It was late at night when a shop owner stood alone inside his small store. The streets were quiet and a woman walked in. At first, nothing seemed unusual, but something about her felt wrong. Her skin looked pale and gray. Her expressions were empty. She began interacting with the shopkeeper in a strange way, by asking questions like, "Why are you playing the Quran? Who died?" Her tone felt strange. The shop owner later said that her face looked unnatural. Her eyes seemed too dark. Some viewers claimed that her legs looked strange on camera, almost shaped like hooves instead of feet. You could visibly see the man getting uncomfortable. He kept his distance from her. The environment inside the store felt strange too. She only stayed for a short time and then left. When people replayed the footage, many believed she wasn't human at all. Others say it could be some sort of camera distortion or bad lighting, but the shop owner insists that something about her presence felt completely wrong, and he has never forgotten that night. What do you think happened? Security guard sees floating legs. At around 2 a.m., a security guard received a call. Someone was moving near the building. He went outside to investigate. He looked up suddenly as if he saw something. Then he quickly bent down and hid behind the wall. Just a few seconds later, he saw a strange figure. It appeared to be a pair of legs walking through the air. But there was no upper body attached to it, no torso, just legs. Semi-transparent, like smoke. Then it vanished. The guard later said he was terrified. He couldn't explain what he saw, and it didn't look like a shadow from headlights. There were no cars nearby. The legs appeared to fall slightly from above before touching the ground and walking. Viewers argue it could have been a camera glitch, but the movement looked controlled, like something invisible walking with legs. And for a moment, it was caught on camera too. What are your thoughts on this? Daughter and falling glass bottles. A young girl stood inside her playpen upstairs. Her mother was downstairs cleaning. Suddenly, the child looked upward as if someone was standing above her. Then a glass object fell near her. Seconds later, another bottle was thrown down and not rolled. Not tipped over, thrown. The child didn't scream. She stared upward, tracking something unseen. The mother rushed to check the footage and felt sick. There were no shelves above the playpen. Nothing is placed where it could fall from. The bottles landed straight down, not from the side, not sliding, dropped with force. The mother inspected the entire room. There was no one else inside the house. No open windows, no pets. To this day, she says she has no explanation. The objects didn't fall by accident. They were thrown. Woman found dead in a forest. A woman was found dead in a remote forest under mysterious circumstances. No one knew how she got there. The area was isolated, far from the nearest town, and not the kind of place someone just casually wanders into. There were no clear signs of struggle, No immediate answers, just questions. Then something even stranger surfaced: surveillance footage. It was recorded just 1 hour before her body was discovered. In the video, she's walking alone, but the way she moves feels off, slow, unsteady, almost like she's confused or not fully aware of where she is. Some people said she looked disoriented. Others said she looked like she was following something that wasn't there. Here's the part that truly doesn't make sense. The camera that captured her was located more than 7 hours away from the forest where she was found. Not 7 minutes, 7 hours by car. So how could she possibly appear on that footage only 1 hour before her body was discovered so far away? There were no reports of her boarding a plane, no record of anyone driving her there at extreme speed, no timeline that connects the dots in a logical way. The gap between the footage and the discovery feels impossible to explain. Investigators never gave a clear answer. The case remains unsolved. Some people believe there's information being withheld. Others think the footage timestamp could be wrong. And then there are those who believe something darker may have been involved, something we can't easily explain. What are your thoughts on these 10 scary videos caught on camera? Let us know in the comments below, and before you leave, make sure to subscribe for more spooky videos.